Now, where do you stand on this immigration bill? Marco Rubio, apparently Chuck Schumer was saying this weekend that the bill of the Gang of Eight is going to move forward, and Marco said not so fast. It's got to go through regular order. And Rand Paul has an amendment that I'd like to see included in that, and that is trust but verify, in terms of verifying and confirming that the borders would be secure, and you got to secure the borders first, or it's a no deal for anybody.
Well, it depends on what the details are that are in the bill. We still haven't actually seen a bill. Chuck Schumer keeps promising that there is some bill that one day he'll show the world. What I've been saying for a long time is I think there are parts of the deal that could be positive. I think to the extent they're increasing resources to secure the border, to increase manpower, to give technology on the border, to stop illegal immigration, I think that's a good thing. To the extent they're improving and streamlining legal immigration, so our legal immigration system works better, I think that's a good thing also. The part that I've got deep concerns about is any path to citizenship for those who are here illegally. I think that is profoundly unfair to the millions of legal immigrants who have followed the rules, who've waited in line. And so I think the reason that President Obama is insisting on a path to citizenship is that it's designed to be a poison pill to scuttle the whole bill so he can have a political issue in 2014 and 2016. I think that's really unfortunate.
Well, what about what Rubio's been saying, a path to a green card? Even Jeb Bush, I mean, it's very interesting because I've interviewed former Governor Bush, I've interviewed Marco, I've interviewed Rand Paul, I've interviewed you, and there are certain components of each one's plan that interest me. Like, for example, Jeb Bush's plan doesn't even lead to a path towards citizenship. Marco's insists on, this is a path to a green card with maybe the potential after you get put to the back of the line later for citizenship. Rand Paul is saying trust but verify on the borders, which I think is a really good component. I mean, if we first of all secure the border, that to me, it doesn't go anywhere unless that's done first. Do you think the president would be willing to do that?
Well, I think the American people have learned before that when politicians promise to secure the border, every time it's been said in the past, it hasn't happened. So I think most voters share the skepticism.
Yeah, we lost you there a second. Most voters, what?
I think most voters share the skepticism I have of empty promises and hot air.
Well, and that's why I think the trust and verify provision, is that one that you support?
I think anything that requires securing the border first is a step in the right direction. But I think a path to citizenship is designed not to pass.
So are you saying, Senator, that the president purposely wants this to fail because then he can go out and advance this phony narrative that Republicans don't care about minorities or the Latino communities, and that he'd get a long-term political benefit by dividing the country?
No, I think that's exactly right, that he's looking for a political issue. If he actually really wanted to get something passed, he wouldn't be rolling this out as a partisan attack issue. You look at the State of the Union, that was a divisive speech that was in your face, and he knows full well a path to citizenship will not pass the House. And actually, the people who are really being played by the president are many of the immigration reform advocacy groups who very much want to see positive immigration reform passed. And I think the political affairs shop in the White House has taken advantage of them because he's promising them to deliver, but insisting on an element that will kill the bill rather than having something that could receive bipartisan support, would secure the border and improve legal immigration.
What do you support? What would you like to see? What would you buy into? Is there any one plan that's out there now, or do you have to have revisions of your own?
I think the two critical elements are, number one, getting serious about securing the border.
First, right.
First, tripling the Border Patrol, providing technology, providing helicopters with infrared, providing the tools to drop illegal immigration and to solve the problem. And then number two, I think there are positive reforms to legal immigration to make it easier to deal with, to limit the paperwork, the burden, the waiting periods, that would receive overwhelming bipartisan support. I think immigration reform should focus where there is agreement. Lots of people in the media talk about compromise. I think the best place to start at immigration is where there's wide agreement. President Obama doesn't want to do that. He wants to pick a path to citizenship precisely because he knows that it's a partisan divisive issue, and he holds everything else hostage to that wedge issue.
What about those that would have a path to a green card? Would you support that if the border was secured first?
Well, the problem with the green card is a permanent legal resident status, and anyone who has a green card is eligible for citizenship within 5 years. And so if someone can get a green card, that is a path to citizenship. And what it means, even if someone goes to the back of the line, what it means is that if you're somebody in another country who wants to come to the United States and you followed the rules, you applied to come legally, if we pass something that allows those here illegally to achieve citizenship, it means you're a chump for having stayed in your own country and followed the rules because you were not able to live here and raise your family and enjoy the tremendous blessings of liberty in the United States simply because you followed the rules. And I think we need to uphold the rule of law, and we need to be fair to legal immigrants. Legal immigrants get left behind in a lot of this discussion.
I think that's very, very well said, and I think it's very true. Then how do you answer the question about the 11 million people that are here, that have families, that have kids, that are citizens, et cetera, et cetera?
I think that it is likely there could be some bipartisan solution to those who are here illegally. If a path to citizenship were taken off the table. But as long as the president and Harry Reid insist on a path to citizenship, they know full well it will never pass the House of Representatives, and then it's just a political football rather than actually trying to fix the problem. So
basically, you don't think this is going to pass?
That's exactly right. I think what they want to have happen, look, they have the votes to force something through the Senate. I think whatever mess comes out of the so-called Gang of Eight, all or virtually all of the Democrats will vote for it, and it's pretty likely they'll get a fair number of Republicans to vote for it, too. So they can probably get it through the Senate. If it includes a path to citizenship, I don't think it'll pass the House, and I think that's exactly what the Obama White House wants, is to pass something that
so that then he can have a wedge issue going into 2014, and this is the president's attempt to get back the House.
Exactly, and if you're someone who cares about immigration reform, actually wants to see the problem fixed, you should be very unhappy with what the president is doing because he's deliberately scuttling passing something.
What I want is the border secure.
Absolutely.
And I've said this, and the sad part is that if this issue isn't solved, they're not going to do anything to secure the borders. And then your problem multiplies by however many other millions of people enter the country illegally, with the real threat that a terrorist may one day break into the country with a weapon of mass destruction, which I've been warning about for years.
In a post-9/11 world, it doesn't make any sense that we don't know who's coming in this country, whether it's their history, their criminal background. And then when you put on top of it a politicized administration, I mean, you look with the budget cuts and sequestration, what did Homeland Security do? They began releasing illegal immigrants who had committed
to make a political point. Yeah.